Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Friday, 29th day of December, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. This will be the last live show of the year, and it's been quite a year. And let's get to our prepper tip of the day. I had a brief conversation yesterday with a gentleman who is a competitive bicycle rider. He rides bicycles in competition, long-distance competition. And the topic of merino wool came up, and he refreshed my memory, something I've been aware of for many, many years, that not only are merino wool socks the best that you can get your hands on, which I talk about frequently, but also merino wool underwear. Yes, it's expensive, but on one hand. On the other, merino wool underwear has advantages over even the top synthetics that you can get your hands on. You need to check it out, do your own homework. But the merino wool is the best long underwear you can get, the best socks you can get. I wear my merino wool socks, whether it's minus 10 degrees or 110 degrees. Very, very comfortable. I think you'll probably find that to be true for yourself. We have patiently in the green room, my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began his quest more than half a century ago to become involved with the ham radio community. He's been a licensed ham operator for more than half a century. Very accomplished gentleman in his chosen profession of engineering, electronics engineering, radio frequency engineering. And we're going to talk about emergency communications. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, John. Good morning. How are you today?
I am fantastic. How about yourself, sir?
Same here, John. Just getting over this flu and feeling better every day. Now we're just battling that cold weather, and it has really been cold in this area, hasn't it?
Okay, it has. But you get 200 miles north of here, you really find some cold weather. We're looking at minus 1 to minus 5 degrees Sunday night, Monday morning, on New Year's Eve. But you get another 200 miles north of here, we're looking at 20 below, 25 below. Serious cold. Tom, before I forget, I did forget yesterday to do a drawing of our postcard in our energy cleaner promotion. So I've drawn that postcard, and I have it here in my hands, and it's Marge in Placerville, California. Marge in Placerville, California. Marge, I'll be in touch with you to let you know that your postcard was drawn, and you can now buy an energy cleaner, $70, $75 off retail, and a mattress pad 10% off retail. And of course, for everybody's knowledge here, $200 of that purchase price goes to Republic Broadcasting. I know Mr. Statmill is very appreciative, Tom, of your effort. That's now well into our second year. Well, Tom, our new year is ahead of us. It begins at midnight Sunday night, 2018. This year has flown by. You and I began doing these shows on Friday a couple of months ago. You and I both understand, and anybody involved in as a first responder, almost everybody who is in or has been in the military understands that effective, immediate radio communications during any kind of crisis, whether it's an automobile accident or whatever it might be, hurricane, tornado, earthquake, it could easily be a matter of life and death, right, Tom?
That's very true, John. And, of course, we focus on usually the local communications. I like to also look into and set up systems for regional and wide area communications as well. But most of our discussions are on UHF and VHF type systems that allow people to communicate in their local area with or without repeater systems. So we can discuss some of that today if you'd like.
Absolutely. Well, we need to do that. Now, there's a purpose, there's a method behind the madness here, ladies and gentlemen. We got literally thousands of people all over the planet listening to us. Excuse me. And, of course, the ham radio hobby is a worldwide hobby, not just restricted to the United States, obviously. And the purpose of our conversations is to educate and inform people and hopefully encourage them to take action. That's where the rubber meets the road. It's one thing to listen to Tom Berryhill and John Moore talk about emergency communications. It's quite another to take that first step, begin studying for a ham radio license, become affiliated with a ham radio club, to move forward to get that ham radio license, to get the proper equipment. Doesn't have to be expensive, by the way, and be involved in this hobby, this pursuit, and encourage others to do the same thing. Something that can be maddening is having your ham radio license, good quality equipment, and then the people you want to talk to, whatever distance they might be, 10 miles away or 2,000 miles away, haven't done the same thing. So you can't talk to them, at least not legally, can you, Tom?
Yeah, that's correct, John. You do need to study for the test. It's been made a lot easier than it was in the old days. Way back when I got into it, you had to have quite a lot of technical expertise. The questions were incredibly difficult in some cases, and on some tests we actually had to draw schematic diagrams of power amplifiers and oscillators and things like that. But over the years, the equipment, and the reason for that, John, way back, is that the equipment, if it wasn't adjusted right, could cause interference to other services that were in nearby frequencies. For instance, if you were on the shortwave ham radio bands, you could end up interfering with marine radio traffic all over the world. So you had to know quite a bit before you ever got started. And they have relaxed those regulations and made it much easier. And the reason for that is the equipment has gotten to the point that it's almost plug and play. You can buy the equipment. It's all digital readouts. You don't have to worry about adjusting the power amplifiers. Everything's pretty much automatic. So it's a lot of the guesswork is out of the way. You don't have to know about it. You just have to know the basics, and you can learn as you go. You can, of course, increase your knowledge as you get into this hobby and learn as much as you'd like, or some people choose to just get into it at a minimum level just so they can communicate and talk with their friends and meet others on the air. That's fine, too, while other people decide that they want to advance their knowledge and get involved in the digital communication modes and build their own repeater systems, build their own transmitters. And the ham operators are allowed to do this. Ham operators can build transmitters from scratch. They can buy the individual components and solder them together and make their own radio systems without getting any type of FCC-type acceptance. That is 100% allowed. So otherwise, any other radio service would have to have type-accepted equipment that's pre-approved by the FCC. And, well, we don't have those restrictions for the ham operators.
Right. Well, yes. Ham radio operators can also send digital messages. They can, and even television. Ham radio operators do television also, don't they?
Yes, they do. That's been going on for decades. That was quite a popular mode. It's normally performed on UHF bands because of the incredibly wide bandwidth that's required for especially an analog television signal. Now, there are some slower speed televisions that were called slow scan, and they actually operated on the shortwave spectrum. Those signals could be transmitted worldwide, but they weren't live video. They were relatively slow, so you could see some motion, but it was almost like slow motion. But otherwise, yes, it could be used on a worldwide basis. John, it seems that like the digital modes have really taken over, and everybody seems to be interested in those more so nowadays. So quite a bit of the activity on the air nowadays is with digital modes. There are actually email connections where ham operators can tie into a system that allows them to forward emails from their ham radio equipment, and that seems to be quite popular with a lot of the hams that have boats and sailboats and so on that are ocean going, and they're able to communicate with their family and others via email right from their ham radio. So there's a lot of that going on as well. And their stations, ham operators have set up stations all over the world to intercept those signals and relay them into the email system.
Now there's no expectation of privacy in that modality, is there?
Oh, absolutely not. No. As a matter of fact, the ham operators are not allowed to encrypt their signals. I know that there's some experimentation going on, and for maybe short periods of time, it may be allowed. I'm not really sure on the laws on that, but I believe there is a little bit of experimentation going on with that for short transmissions. Because, John, so much of the communications technology originated with the ham operators. If you really want to look at it, go back in history and take a close look, you'll find that most of the communications modes came from ham operators experimenting in their basements and attics and garages and building equipment and trying out these technologies, which then became relatively large companies in some cases to produce the equipment. All started with experimentation by ham operators. And I would encourage anybody that has young children that are interested in things like this to get them started, help them get involved in ham radio. And at a young age, they'll pick it up. They soak it in like a sponge, John, and they'll really learn quite a bit. It's a learn-as-you-go type of system. If you want to buy the books and get the equipment and get started at a young age, by the time a person is a young adult, they will be very, very well-versed in the technology, and they can really just about write their own ticket for what they want to do in life.
Absolutely. Well, if you've got a question or comment about emergency communications, just give us a call. The call number here is 800-313-9443. And Tom, you've done your own experimentation over the years, and I know one project that's near and dear to your heart is Manpack radios, where a high-quality radio is built inside a waterproof container, rather small, rather lightweight compared to its capabilities, about the equivalent, actually superior performance compared to what we carried in Manpack radios during Vietnam, which typically weighed about 12 pounds or so, 12 to 15 pounds, and were very bulky. We're now at a point where superior equipment can be down to, what, would you say 2 pounds or so, and have good performance?
Well, I think that it would be more than that, but what I'm actually working on, John, is it wouldn't be it could be made waterproof, but because of the controls on the radio and the front panel, it's rather difficult to make the entire system waterproof. But it will be water resistant. You could use it in the rain if you had to, if you oriented the case properly so the water wouldn't get in through the front panel. But basically what I've been working on is a case that will house these very small UHF, VHF, and HF radio. So you have all the typical modes of operation at a low power in a very compact unit, but it's enclosed in this case along with an antenna coupler or an antenna tuner that allows you to connect it into the antenna and adjust it for proper operation, and it also holds the battery bank as well as any other accessories that you might need. It would look very similar to one of these Manpack military-type systems, and those things are incredibly expensive. And I envision having a low-cost case available that will house these accessories. So the typical ham operator can put together a system and customize it for his or her own use and use it out in the field. There's quite a bit of interest in something like this, John, and actually nobody's really to a limited basis, there's a few systems, but nothing like what I am planning to do. There should be some more, and I'm sure it'll be copied and improved, and there'll be quite a few out there in the coming years. But right now, there's a need for it, and nobody's fulfilling that need. So that's what I'm working on. I'll be using the similar equipment, or same equipment in many cases, but very similar to what I'm using to produce the energy cleaner cases. So thermal forming and plastic molding equipment. That's what the plan is.
All right. Well, we can expect a viable, workable model by when? The 1st of June?
Oh, I hope, but John, it's so difficult on putting a date on these things. It's like you comment on quite frequently. People want a date. They want to know when, and that's the most frequent question that we get. When's it available? I have built 3 prototypes, and they were well received, and they're no longer available because they're out there. They were actually purchased and in use right now, along with some suggestions. Each gentleman that purchased those units, those prototypes, had many suggestions. If you can change this, if you can move this a little bit, and this is typical of any product development. You have to go through some beta testing, as they call it, to just see how it performs out in the field and what changes are required, and then we just take it from there. So that's where we're at right now.
All right. Okay, I've got a break coming up here in less than a minute, and if you got a question or comment about emergency communications, we'd like to hear it. 800-313-9443. Tom, it's on my list of things to do is to upgrade my ham radio license. I've been a licensed ham radio operator since 1994, and that's one of my goals this coming year. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday the 29th of December, last live show of the year. How about that? Visiting with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency communications. Tom, when somebody first is introduced to ham radio, it can be overwhelming in terms of having a lot of new things to learn, finding out that these radios are far more complex than a cell phone, that you won't be able to talk unless you know certain things about how these radios work. We get so used to the simplicity of cell phones and tablets that something a bit more complex can be daunting, especially the fact that these manufacturers, they cater to the ham radio culture, which the culture demands features. Some of these ham radios are so incredibly complex, above and beyond anything necessary for simple communications, that it can be overwhelming, can't it, Tom?
Well, that's very true. Now, some of the newer equipment has so many different menu levels. You push this button and it goes to this menu. You have 3 other soft keys under there. You can push one of those to expand out to other menus. I find that very complex, and sometimes it's just over the top and unnecessary. And John, I'll tell you what, I actually prefer some of the older equipment with tubes in it, and that's what I use on a regular basis. So I do have some modern equipment that has all the menus and everything. It does take a while to get used to it. It's to the point to where there are companies that produce these small, almost like a cheat sheet, are these little laminated cards that you can carry with you that have all the various menus itemized on there, so you know which button to push to get to the right menu. That's how complex it's gotten. I think it's some of it's uncalled for, some of it's handy. Everybody has a different opinion about how that works. But all in all, John, the radios themselves are relatively simple to operate nowadays. You don't have to worry about adjusting a power amplifier, which was always critical back in the old days. It was very, very critical to get that adjustment just right. And you got pretty quick with it. It went fast, but it did take a while to learn how to do all that. And that's all been shoved out of the way, and the newer equipment is much simpler. Once you figure out the menu systems for the particular radio that you have, it's relatively easy to get set up and start operating it. And my suggestion is to start with the lowest class license, the technician license, and that allows you to operate your VHF and UHF type radios for local communications. You can get on the air very simply with those and start meeting people, and you'll learn about the various ham radio clubs that are in your local area. You can visit with them, go to their meetings, and learn more about it. And they're always welcome. They will always welcome you, and they're always happy to help the newcomers to get a better handle on how everything works. And many times a person will get their license, and they're a little bit apprehensive about getting on the air right away. They don't want to do something wrong or be on wrong frequency. But if they go to one of the ham clubs beforehand, and many of these ham clubs offer testing sessions. They're the volunteer examiners for the FCC, so they will actually administer the test. You can take it right there at the ham radio club, and they will help you, and one of them will get on the air with you the first time if you'd like, and help you to find your way through the all the formalities and everything. And after a few contacts on the air, it's pretty much second nature, and you won't have any trouble at all.
Right,
a lot of fun.
I see the same thing, Tom, with pilots. The first time you key up a mic and you know that you're in the world of aviation, and you've got men and women listening to you, and you're deathly afraid of sounding like a complete idiot while you're doing something incredibly important. Aviation is obviously a very serious matter. We got a caller on hold. We got a bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, back here on Friday, the 29th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. We're moving forward into 2018. We hope to double, if not triple, the list of movies and television shows that have images of continents and new coastlines. It's been a fun project. If you have time to watch movies or TV shows, keep a sharp eye out for those images that have continents with new coastlines. Get that screen capture. Get it to me as a thank you. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs. We still need a nice, crystal clear, sharp image of that map that's on the wall of the director's office of NCIS, the wildly popular TV show NCIS. This is well into my 8th year, this is halfway through my 8th year selling energy cleaners, helping literally many hundreds of people all over the planet get their life back, be able to sleep well at night without taking a pill, get relief from arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, get their lives back. It's a fun project also. Every time I set one of these boxes on the counter at the little country post office at Cherryville, Missouri, I think to myself, here's one for the good guys. Absolutely, here's one for the good guys. I now offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner, and it's something you need to check out, quite frankly. It really is. I take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. The energy cleaner is only $285, shipping included. The mattress pads that go with the energy cleaner, they vary in price depending on what you get. The small travel size, the twin, full, queen, king, California king. It's all there at my website at libertyman.com. I have a toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Our caller dropped. He's welcome to call back. And we're visiting with Tom Berryhill. We're talking about emergency communications. Tom, without fail, and we see it every major event, whether it's a hurricane or earthquake or tornado, when everything else ceases to work, the ham radio operators step up to the plate and get the job done, don't they, sir?
In every single case, John, that's absolutely correct. And some of these hurricanes we had this past year, yes, they came into action and set up systems where everything else was down. These people were allowing communications to get through. I listened to a lot of it on the HF frequencies. There were quite a few networks set up to relay messages and so on. A lot of digital communications was taking place to get email type of messages through so that families could learn about their family members in those areas that were hit hard. So it helped quite a bit, John, and the ham operators are very innovative. They know how to set up the battery systems to, under the worst of circumstances, they can get that equipment fired up and operating and start getting messages through. So it's been going on since the inception of ham radio. So we've always been able to do things like that and happily get involved, and also at no cost. There's no type of monetary interest here. It's not allowed at all. It's against the law, and we do it for free and just to help the community.
Absolutely. Well, we're working here in Crawford County with the 911 people to have a radio frequency assigned for each community, that each community can independently communicate with the 911 communications center during a crisis, and be able to let the county authorities know what's going on, whether they need help or don't need help, what kind of help is needed, and so forth during whatever crisis it might be. Right now, I can think of where an ice storm might be something we could deal with. We had one down here where the entire community had about 3-inch thick sheet of ice. This goes back 7 or 8 years ago. It pretty much shut down the entire community for a number of days. Even my 4-wheel drive Kubota tractor couldn't move on that. It was a sight to behold.
John, I bought chains for my little tractor. I've always worried about that with the ice. We've had some ice problems in the past around here. Probably the same storm you're talking about. We had no power at one point for nearly a week. It was very, very bad. So, but I actually bought a set of chains for that very reason.
Well, that would do the trick, and I guess I could talk to the farm supply people about getting chains, because a 4-wheel drive Kubota tractor with chains on it, I would think, could go through almost anything to get you where you wanted to go. It wouldn't be a pleasant ride or a fun ride, but it would be a ride.
That's right.
Well, I've also when I do ride the Kubota, I frequently have my handy talkie with me, so I can talk to my base station operated by my wife, and if there's an important phone call, I can be notified of it and get back to the home base to take care of that business phone call. Or otherwise, I would just be happily out there running the brush hog and oblivious that an important business call is waiting for me to be taken care of. Another aspect of this, of course, is being out in the woods with a chainsaw, an incredibly dangerous thing to do by yourself. Having a handy talking under those circumstances could literally be a matter of life and death, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's very true. A lot of people will keep their cell phone with them as well. But, John, in these rural areas where we're located, there's quite a few spots where those cell phones will not work at all. They have a pretty good system, but it's still not 100% coverage in rural areas. So that HT radio that allows you to connect back to your home or your business or whatever is very, very handy. I'm not a big fan of the portable radios, and you know that, John, because they have such limitations with their range. So many people buy these small bubble pack radio, a couple of radios, in a little bubble pack package at the hardware store, they have them at Walmart and everywhere else. Relatively inexpensive, and right on the package it'll say up to 15 miles, up to 25 miles, and that is so bogus. There's no way those things will go that far. Typically, several blocks, if you're lucky, unless you're in a couple of hot air balloons or on top of a mountain, and it's line of sight to another mountain, you might be able to do it. But they are very restricted in their range. That's why I prefer a higher power mobile unit, and you can also carry the HT, the walkie-talkie type radio with you if you want to, but just don't rely on it for real long-range communications. I've seen so many people get involved in ham radio at an entry level, and the first thing they do is they run out and they buy that little walkie-talkie, only leading to such frustration that they give up before they ever really got started. They really need something a little higher power, at least a 20, maybe 10-watt minimum, but maybe 25, even a 50-watt type mobile unit will give you some incredible range, especially if you put a gain antenna on the car. And so that as a mobile unit will allow you to talk through repeaters and quite a distance, in some cases 40 miles away with no problems.
Right. Well, some of these distances can be deceptive. For example, I have a friend in Illinois that line of sight is only about 70 miles away, but the drive there is 2.5 hours because of these roads and how they go in not in a straight line, shall we say.
That's right. And we have that situation right here where I live. The road goes every single direction in just a few miles. It winds all over the place because it's quite hilly and mountainous in this area.
Absolutely. Well, the ham radio does not need to be complex. We routinely have 8-year-old boys and girls pass their ham radio test. It is a family hobby for many families, and 8 and 10-year-old boys and girls have a real sense of accomplishment and achievement, not some make-believe award for showing up at some children's event, but real accomplishment based on studying for and passing a test, just like the adults do. And children like to do adult things and participate in adult events, don't they, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. And there's some larger ham radio clubs that offer scholarships for these young people that have obtained their ham radio license, and they've done some incredible work to the point where they're ready for college, and they receive some really nice scholarships based on their the work that they've done, and I've read up on some of these young people and the scholarships they were awarded. I was very impressed with the projects and the different things that they were doing, all because of getting involved in ham radio. So it's a great thing if you have a family with young children that show any interest at all. Get them started. It's easy to do. And again, the ham radio test has been simplified over the years to the point to where somebody could actually memorize. They're good at memorization. They could actually take the test and know nothing about it. That does happen sometimes, John. I wouldn't advise that. I would say learn at least the basics, and then it's a learn as you go. It's almost like an apprenticeship. You get in there and you work with it, and the others that are more experienced will help you along and show you the different tricks and tips that will help you avoid certain problems that could crop up when you're setting up your antennas and your equipment. So, and that's the beauty of a ham radio club. There's people with all different skill levels there, all willing to learn and help each other. It's really a great thing. And I know you're starting that new club in your area.
Right. We're starting a new ham radio club in Viburnum, Missouri. I don't have that date in front of me. It's either March or April, I believe, and I do hope that you can make it, Tom. It'll be a Saturday morning in Viburnum, and we'll be inviting all the local licensed hams and making sure it's publicized. And we expect a fairly good turnout for the event, and look forward to establishing a new ham radio club that will move forward to have our community better prepared for whatever's coming, whether it's an ice storm or a tornado or an earthquake. By the way, Tom, the scientists have found a new seismic zone that goes east-west right through our county all the way down to Springfield, Missouri. And it's we also understand it's responsible for draining a big portion of the Merrimack River away from the normal Merrimack River. It's making it go away.
Well, listen, that's just wonderful news, John. Wow.
I know. I drove across the Merrimack River in St. Louis County a few days ago, and there was so little water there, it looked like you could wade across it and not get water above your knees. The water was so low. I don't know how deep it was. It's probably deeper than that, but it was most of the riverbed was visible and dry there in St. Louis County. This new seismic zone is very concerning to the scientists. It would, if it had a big shake, it would literally split our county in two, north-south at the Merrimack River because of the bridges that cross the Merrimack. And emergency responders are already taking that into account, making sure they've got equipment and men and supplies north and south of the Merrimack River in the event that this does happen. And I'm sure other counties are doing the same thing. And, of course, the ham radio people will play a role in this as well, because the threat posed to what's already up and running is a very clear and present danger. And we will have backups on the backups, making use of ham radio people and equipment. There's no part of the world that's completely safe from natural disasters, is there, Tom?
No, that's true. There's no place that's totally safe. And you know, John, on that subject, I have known other ham operators that were experimenting and building equipment to monitor earthquakes and temperature changes and weather changes and things like this. And they actually use ham radio equipment to relay those signals back to their main system. So with that in mind, anybody, again, I encourage anybody with young children that might have an interest in any type of engineering, they should really encourage these kids to get involved in ham radio, because they can use it in so many different ways. Anything that's wireless, anything that uses RF to transmit information, whether it be audio, digital, it doesn't matter. Ham radio can be incorporated and merged into some of those systems for experimentation, and it's encouraged. That's the reason ham radio still exists to this day, is because so many of these emerging technologies and communications and so on have all come forward because of what ham operators were doing in their basements and garages and out in the barn and so on. And you know, John, last night I had a 2.5-hour conversation with a longtime friend of mine. I don't get to talk to him all the time, but he was one of the top microwave engineers for Verizon. He's now retired, and he was in charge of most of the state of Illinois for the Verizon cell phone system. Now, this guy knows cell phones inside and out. And we talked, he's a ham operator, and I've known him for a little bit over 30 years. So we go way back, and we had quite an interesting conversation about a lot of these subjects we're talking about today, John. So, yes, he learned everything he knows from dealing with ham radio, and it took him into a very high-level job that compensated him very, very nicely. So, all because of ham radio. That's how it starts with many people that are in the communications industry.
That's right. That's right. And here's our last break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we are back with J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 29th day of December, last live show of the year, visiting with Tom Berryhill. And yes, no apologies. We're encouraging people to consider this coming calendar year in 2018 to get involved with ham radio. Study for that license. Join a ham radio club and get on the road to helping your community and your family have effective emergency communications. Right, Tom?
Oh, that's very true, John. And you know, this new club that you're starting in your area, this new ham radio club, that would be a perfect opportunity to set up some classroom-type training to explain the basics so that newcomers could sit down and learn enough to get to the point to where they could take their test and obtain their first ham radio license. Of course, then they could view it as an apprenticeship and learn as they go and become more skilled every day that they work with it. And the young people could end up with an engineering career in communications or electronics, and they would be in quite a big demand. You know, by the time they're a young adult, they would really be able to have quite a good job. So I think it would be a good idea to maybe set that up with the club, some sort of training program. And
well, I'm thinking we're kind of thinking out loud here, Tom, and I'm thinking the same thing, that we may begin a weekly training session to encourage people, probably on a weekday evening, to encourage people to get the training, get the skills, and get their license. An organized structure event like that will get people to take action. Otherwise, it's just too easy to watch the latest TV episode of their choosing. So, that's a good idea, and I think we'll incorporate that in what we're doing here, Tom.
Yeah, I would think maybe once in a while have a meeting at one of the restaurants where we typically meet, John, and they have meeting rooms and set it up where people could have dinner and then have a 1-hour program or so on maybe a particular topic that needs to be discussed that would help them to take their ham radio test. The initial license, the first one you get, the technician class, is really pretty simple, but you still have to be familiar with some of the technical aspects of the equipment as well as the legal side. And, John, it's changed so much over the years. I'm even a little bit rusty myself as to the certain legalities because so many of the laws have changed. The mode types that are allowed on the air, the new digital modes, there's certain regulations on those, and I need to brush up on some of that myself.
Yeah, probably, just thinking out loud here, we have our movie night every Friday beginning in March. We'll probably have a training class just before the start of the movie because we have people showing up anyway.
There you go. That's perfect.
That may be what we end up doing. Tom, we're out of time. Thank you, sir, and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, John, and Happy New Year to all your listeners, and we'll see you next year.
Okay. Our top of the hour break. We'll be back with Dr. Phil Myers. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Friday, the 29th of December. Prepper tip of the day. This is our last prepper tip of the year. Merino wool. I had a conversation earlier this week with a gentleman who is a competitive bicycle rider, and he mentioned something that I already knew, but it refreshed my memory, that not only are merino wool socks the best you can get, which I talk about that pretty frequently, but merino wool underwear is superior to all the latest high-tech synthetics for a number of reasons. Yes, on one hand, it's expensive on one hand, but on the other, it's something you need to be aware of and get your hands on it if you can. That's what you should do. Get your hands on it if you can. Merino wool underwear as well as merino wool socks. That's your prepper tip of the day and the last prepper tip of the year. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend, Dr. Phil Myers. Dr. Myers is a chiropractic physician living and working in my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. Easy way to get started with Dr. Myers. All you need to do is call his office at 314-868-6868 and schedule that first private, no-charge consultation. That's all you need to do. Good morning, Dr. Myers.
Good morning, John. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm good. The pipes aren't frozen and the driveway's clear. How about yourself?
Same here, man. Same here. I've been winterizing my house and winterizing my office, making sure we get all the heat as possible staying inside.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I have neighbors with frozen pipes, and it's a burdensome thing to deal with, to say the least. Well, Doctor, we began a few weeks back with a health tip of the week, and what's our health tip of the week this week, sir?
Well, it's funny. The best health tip of the week is leading into this whole aspect of the new year and basically your 2018 transformation year. I really don't suggest looking at New Year's resolutions, because a resolution is kind of like a goal that you have, and goals pretty much fall by the wayside real fast. And goals have a tendency also to be dictated by how you had lived your past and the future that you'd like to see happen, but it's always a projection of if the past had just been this and the future looks like this, then I will be okay. Well, you're not even in the equation until the final answer. So a goal, a New Year's resolution, doesn't really ever involve you, which defeats the purpose. So I would suggest that one of the biggest things for your health tips is put you at the front of the equation, or as the equation itself. And when you look at yourself as the reason and as the solution for what is going to happen in your world, then it's a transformation and not a resolution, thinking if the past had just been this and the future will look like this, then I will be that. It looks a completely different way, as I am this. I am doing this. I am accomplishing this, which transcends past and no longer projects into the future. And then you then are the reason behind your success or your failure or the reason why things don't get done or do get done. And you literally learn to let go of blaming the past and wishing upon a future that may never happen, and if it does, it's just luck, versus you actually doing it. And too many of us are betting on luck instead of our own fortitude. So the health tip of the week, the rest of your life, is self-care, self-actualization, self-realization. And that can be very daunting.
It can be. It can be.
It can be extremely daunting. So you need to be gentle, kind, and loving towards how you've seen yourself over these years. Whether you are dealing with chronic sinus issues, if you're dealing with, it all comes down to real simple things. How we value ourselves, how we value our abilities, and how we value the people around us, and that cooperation or collaboration between you and your environment and yourself. And so we're always looking at a couple things: money, our job, finances, which is a really interesting term because how you're financially supported via your own ability and how you're financially supported by your environment, like the universe has got your back kind of thing. And so we got money, we got job, we got the financing, and then you have your career. And that's basically what is your vision, your mission, and your purpose here in life. And I really suggest after this show to re-listen to this, and also so you can take notes again, because this is a lot of information and going to be, and even though it's a very small amount of information, they're big guns. And sometimes you just need to look at one gun, one bullet, and start working on being able to hit a bullseye with that part, and then all the rest of the other parts start coming through. For example, no matter where you are, taking an eye of self-care and taking an eye of transformation versus goal, letting go of resolution and looking at yourself, your bigger self, the big S self. And because the little s self really is all about the goal. It's all about how you've seen yourself, and if Phil had just done this in the past, or if Phil could just do this in the future, then I, myself, right now will be fine. Well, again, it takes you right out of the equation, and you're looking at that little s self. So when you're looking at money, your job, your finances, and your career, you're also looking at aspects of your entire life. So first and foremost, looking at yourself and having self-care. Doing less, for example, if you go to, and I highly recommend people going here because I'm posting a tremendous amount of information on this. So if you're Facebook people, go to Phil Myers at your Facebook. You'll also see the caption Dr. Phil underneath it, so you'll know it's exactly me. And my Instagram account, if you're Instagram people, and that's at Phi, P-H-I, Wholeness, W-H-O-L-E-N-E-S-S. So Phi Wholeness on your Instagram, and at Dr. Phil Myers on your Facebook. So, and I cross-pollinate both of those two groups. So if you're mostly a Facebook person, then you'll still get the Instagram stuff. And if you're an Instagram person, you'll still get the Facebook stuff. But if you do both, you'll definitely get all of it. And there's going to be a tremendous amount of information on it, from everything of what you can do more of and do less of. Like I have a post of less talking, less planning, less soda, less junk food, less complaining, less worrying, less doubting, less lazing around, less frowning, less insecurity, less thoughts of weakness, less ignorance, less hate, and less ungratefulness, and literally adding more gratitude into your life, more love, and understanding. And when you do more of, always look at yourself first, your higher self. Be grateful not in, oh, well, there's starving kids in Africa, I better eat your peas. That's guilt. That's not grateful. That's guilt, shame, and everything else. But being grateful that, wow, I have and had the ability just now to have a meal inside a kitchen under a roof with running water. And I'm grateful for my ability to create that in my life. It's not that it came to you from the outside world, but that you brought it into your life, no matter how small or how grandiose it is. And just maybe the fact of being able to have a place to sleep and put your head down where you have warmth. It's like, wow, I'm so grateful for the ability to have a place to sleep. And it's amazing I don't care how rich, financially successful you think other people are. You have no idea maybe the struggles and traumas and dramas that they're working through their own self-care. And recognizing maybe that person themselves hasn't had a place to sleep that they can really call their own, per se. But due to their attitude, the surrounding environment that they've created in their life, that environment then supported them in giving them a place to lie their head down at night that's warm, that they could put their clothes, they'd go shopping and buy some groceries and actually then have a kitchen to cook something in. So no matter, and here's the thing is, we're not about comparison. Like, again, that's guilt. Comparison is guilt. Comparison is shame, or then you get resentfulness in that. But when you're looking at gratitude, love, and understanding, confidence, trust, more smiling, believing in yourself, seeing hope, encouragement, and a doing and a true listening to what's happening in your life. And those are all the mores that you'll see on the Facebook post for December 25th. And when you start doing those things, you really, it physiologically amplifies human growth hormone. So you want to grow in your life, amplify human growth hormone. Research has shown that people that practice gratitude in the way we were just talking about it, and not gratitude in the guilt way, but having gratitude in what they've created, and that then what was there to support them in their creation, and having gratefulness in that, amplifies human growth hormone really, really largely. And the more you do that as a daily practice, you'll start seeing you grow exponentially. It really starts putting you into flow. And anybody that's in flow has 300% more creativity in their life, accomplishes literally 300% more. And that's the equivalent of getting done on Monday what you used to take all week. And when hiccups and what you had previous believed to be roadblocks in your life and obstacles and battles to be won, and you live in the present moment and realize, you know what, I'm listening to myself, and myself is saying, do this instead. Your higher self, your vision, mission, and purpose self. To do this instead is huge in activating human growth hormone. Because when you listen to your higher self, when you listen to that deep, deep, deep intuition, even though, here's an example. I had done hot yoga time ago after a long trip. It felt amazing. I had told myself, I am going to go do this class again on this date and this time, and that was my quote-unquote goal. And because my future gets to this place and I can get to this time and do this class, I'll be able to accomplish this. And it was funny. I ended up getting a massive, massive headache. I never get headaches. And I got a massive headache, and I literally thought, I'm like, okay, if I go do this class, it's not going to be good. My body's telling me something, no, don't do it. You need something else. Even though I had wanted to, it was total goal. And I told everybody I was going to do this class on Thursday. And dropping pride aside and listening to what my body was really saying, I got finished with work, I went home, and I went straight to bed. I woke up the next morning amazingly feeling so much better. Still a little under the weather, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I listened to my body, because I know if I had listened to pride, if I had listened to my projected goal and expectation and tried to push myself through it because of all of that, the next day would not have been good. And so by listening to that higher self of yourself, you're going to start seeing things really, really, really transform in this next year.
That's great information, Doctor. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 29th of December, visiting with Dr. Phil Myers, my personal physician. He helps me in my everyday health-related matters, and when I'm training to compete in the 100-meter dash, he gives me very specific help in how to have maximum performance. He can help you also. Just call his office, set up that first private no-charge consultation at area code 314-868-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So also by following me on Facebook, following me on Instagram, you're going to be, and then because our weekly shows give a lot of information, and there's just so much to talk about. We can't jam it all into a 1-hour session. I mean, brains get fried and just like, oh my God, one thing is enough. So by following me on Facebook, following me on Instagram, you're going to get more, you're going to be able to dive in deeper at your pace. So it's like, wow, that was some really good information that he was talking about gratitude. Oh, wow, there's more information on gratitude that he has on his pages. Okay, cool, I can dive deeper into that. There's going to be a tremendous amount of new technology that we're going to be that I'm already exposing, or not exposing, but shedding to light that's available. Some things that most people know, a lot of things people don't know, but these technologies are going to be the forefront of health restorative energy technologies, from not just supplementation, but from technologies like lasers and gravity and different other technologies that are available now to the public that is legal and and able to get it every 50 states, all 50 states, and that is going to be the mainstream of the new paradigm of medicine. And I'm going to be very clear on that, the new paradigm of medicine, and not your allopathic medicine. And even though a lot of allopathics are cluing in on this, they're still going to be following their model, so they're never going to completely get it. The new paradigm of medicine goes beyond nutrition and goes beyond exercise and goes beyond structure, even though we still have to bring all this new technology that deals with frequency, vibration, and tone down to the physical level of nutrition, of physical exercise. These new technologies are rooted in very, very, very high vibrational frequency and tone technologies, extreme ability to knock out free radicals, knock out prematurely oxidated, stressed out cells, regenerate telomeres, knock out mold, bacteria, viruses, and funguses, help a person be grounded, connecting to their heart center, getting their mind and their gut clear and communicative, seeing themselves as a value to themselves and their community in ways that we haven't seen in thousands of years. From a conscious community standpoint, there is so much going on here right now. So follow me on Facebook and Twitter, because there's a lot of information coming out, and the more I get set up with different distributors and technologies myself, they'll be even more accessible, especially to our listeners, because we're even your listeners and our listeners here, especially at RBN, are before the early adopters.
That's right. That's right. Doctor, we got a break here, so everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. Let's jump back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 29th of December, our last live show of the year. Going to be 2018 here in a couple of days. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We work hard, myself and Tim Spencer, my webmaster, at locating things that will be educational, informative, even humorous. There are some humorous things there. And of course, the energy cleaner is my home business. When you place your order for an energy cleaner, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to the little country post office at Cherryville, Missouri, where every Friday evening, I think they may not have it this Friday because of New Year's, there's a catfish buffet with a catfish, all-you-can-eat, side dishes, dessert, and beverage for $10. You can't beat that. Every time I set that package on the counter at the little country post office, I say to myself, here's one for the good guys. The energy cleaner is only $285, shipping included. We focus on joint pain, back pain, arthritis pain, and getting a great night's sleep. It will help in all those matters. We're now offering a 90-day money-back guarantee. Yes, I take PayPal. PayPal is, in fact, the most secure way to make any payment online. If you live in the U.S., PayPal now takes payments. You can spread out that dollar amount over several months. MasterCard, Visa, you send me a check. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Phil Myers, my personal physician. He can help you long distance. He can help you in person. The way to get started, just give his office a call. Set up that first private no-charge consultation. Call his office at area code 314-868-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So here's the thing. So let's kind of get back to, it's really funny that the RBN commercial was all about social media, because we really do need to, as a community, as a Republic Broadcasting or as a before an earlier adopter community. All these different types of technologies that are coming out here with free energy and all this type of stuff, and getting out of mostly survivalism and getting into pro-actionism. And the only way for us as a community to get out of survivalism, where we're always having to be, preparedness is a different thing, and that's not what I'm talking about. Preparedness is preparedness, but getting out of survivalism and getting into proactionism, the first and foremost and only way possible to do that is to work with self-care. Honestly, and it sounds cliche, but loving yourself, loving even those that trigger the living, deepest, darkest things that you don't want to feel, the deepest anger, resentment, judgment, fear, shame, guilt, rage that just bellies up inside of your gut. And if those people would just not be in your life, oh my God, life would be so much better. But they're there. And honestly, they're there. And here's a way of really working with gratitude. Thanking that person in your own mind self. I don't recommend it because you go into the person and saying this, you might get punched. But actually saying it in your own mind self, thank you for being such a pain in my butt, that you've triggered every aspect of me that I know I need to surrender and let go of. Because when I swallow those pills of hate, judgment, resentment, all those words, all those emotions, I'm taking the poison myself. And it's killing me. And thank you. Thank you for being that person that literally shows me those emotions that I can then, through my own self-love, through my own self-care, breathe and let go of that emotional upheaval while I still maintain my connection to my breath, all those things that we've been teaching everybody: breath, love, connection, mindfulness, immune boosting, letting go of addictions, reconstituting new, behavioral patterns that serve yourself and the world around you. Thank those people for their triggering of you. Now, that does not mean you put up with their BS. Their belief system about you, the situations, the environments, because their stories are going to be their stories, and they're going to have their stories, and you have your stories too. But here's the thing. You can break your story. You can break, and it's a challenge, don't get me wrong here. That's why all these technologies and tools are here for you now. And it really is no longer new agey. It is no longer esoteric. It is no longer outside the realm of everyday. Now, does the allopathic medical model preach this? No. Like I said, their model is broken. I don't think it ever worked. And we know this. And so, along with no pharmacological, also comes no self-hatred, no believing that you're less than a pill, no more believing that you're less than anything else but awesome and powerful within your own right. That also comes along with the game. But that old model, in its underlying fine print, also was telling you, you can't, you're not able to, you're not worthy, you need to rely on XYZ for this to happen in your future so you can feel better and God help you the way you lived your past, and you better keep beating yourself up over it because that's just the way, the nature of the beast, and you need us in order to survive, which is totally not true. So literally looking at those people, and trust me, and I know, trust me, I have these people in my life too. They do trigger the living heck out of you. And they will. And some people in the world see that as a sacred contract. Like there was actually an agreement that you and this person had on the other side to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to come here and I'm going to be your biggest adversary. And I'm going to trigger you at every single level of your life so you can work on continually letting go of this thing that you need to so you can then continue on to your life. And this was a sacred contract. And until you let go of that trigger that I'm going to keep pushing on you all the time, and finally let go and take responsibility for your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own actions, and really, really owning it. And then going into gratitude, going into self-love, going into connection instead of projection. And I'm going to be there to trigger you. And that's why gratitude is so important, even with your biggest adversary. Because that gratitude equals growth. And that growth comes from the human growth hormone physiologically. And again, for you research buffs out there, it's out there. Go look it up on PubMed. Gratitude, human growth hormone. It's there. So this stuff is real. This is not mind games. This is not mind over matter. We don't have to be living in this world anymore of, well, prove it to me. I mean, my God, we live in the Missouri state of the show me state. It's on our bumper stickers. It's on our license plates.
That's right.
It's getting to the place where that no longer serves you. It's not the show me state. It's the I'm going to show myself state. So, it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to know what Dr. Myers knows. What you need to do is become a client of Dr. Myers to gain access to this knowledge. He's done the homework. He does the research, and it's a continuing quest. It's not something that you walk out the door of Logan Chiropractic College educated and then start practice your art. It's an ongoing quest, isn't it, Doctor?
It's ongoing. And the thing that's, you really hope that all your professionals and all of our professionals, and including ourselves, you have to have a little bit of ego to drive in to know that you're the best of the best and the best of the best to do all this stuff, because everybody expects you to hit a hole-in-one every single time. You don't get a chance to foul tip or to shank it or to miss that 30-foot putt. We have to be the best, and in order to be the best is the ability to let go of ego and to know when maybe you're going down the wrong path and reassess, readjust, and then be like, okay, got it now. And then you hit the hole-in-ones. And you want your physicians to be able to do that. And you know that your physicians are human, and that your professionals are human, and that we're all here working our bloomin' butts off to transcend a system that we've all grew up in, and we've all been quote-unquote programmed by. But there's that deep knowing within inside of ourselves that we all have access to tap into. And that's the true nature of who you are. And to get to those places, it's really easy. Self-love, gratitude, breath, rest.
And I would include in that list the principles outlined in the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Doctor, I only played golf once in my life. It was a three-man scramble thing. And I on the 18th hole, I teed off and hit the stick holding the flag for the 18th hole. And the men with me who've been playing golf for decades, they said, John, I've been playing for 20 years. I've never done that in my life. And I had total clarity and total focus on that stick holding that flag in the 18th hole. I never played golf since. We won a trophy. Our three-man scramble won the trophy for that event.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, well, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm not going to play golf again.
It's like George Costanza ending on a high. Any Seinfeld fans out there?
Start on a high, end on a high, and go on from there. But all these things work together. Doctor, we got a caller and hold here. We got Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn.
Yes. Hello, John. Hello, Dr. Myers.
Hey, Glenn.
Dr. Myers, when it comes to worldview, when you talk about worldview and metaphysical stuff, are you Hindu? Are you a practicing Hindu? I'm just curious, just because you talk about metaphysical things, but you don't really say where you're coming from.
Because I don't put myself in a box. You asked a question. The answer to your question is that I don't label myself as Christian, Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist, agnostic. It's anything. How I view the world, how I view myself, is through these guiding principles of love, gratitude, connection.
Okay, but you end up talking about things like reincarnation and things are right there, reincarnation kind of. Okay, well that's not compatible with Judaism or Christianity. Or
it used to be, Glenn. It used to be, Glenn. No. Glenn, I need to interrupt you, Glenn. But reincarnation was removed from Christian theology about the year 300, or it had been a part of Christian theology up until that point.
Yeah,
do your homework.
Yeah, John, I did my homework when I did my Bachelor of Arts degree in Biblical Studies with minor in psychology when I went to graduate school. I've done my homework, and I'm familiar with that canard.
Well, here, Glenn, I have a question. Here, before we get, let's not get into an argument here for a second, but let me ask you your question. what is the question to know my particular state
because
of reference?
I feel it's deceptive. Because I feel it's deceptive. You practice a specific worldview, but you're not really telling.
Well, here, you know, the beauty part of okay, Glenn, the beauty part is you don't have to listen. You don't have to.
But,
you remember, I think it was it last year, John? Earlier
last
year or the year before? That I came on and I talked about that we're talking a completely different model. And that model does not, it's like talking soccer and soccer, like American football and soccer, which we still, and then people that call it Europe football. But it's a completely different, so it's not deceptive. It can make you think. It can it can challenge your worldviews. It can challenge your belief structures. But that's the point.
And it can deceive people and walk them down the primrose path and not telling people like where you're coming from until you start stating its facts, all these worldview propositions and things about the afterlife and, and what's in the spiritual realm.
I don't know everything. But what I'm saying here is what I do know, I share. And I share it, and if people want to listen, they're more than, and like the Buddha said, and I quote everybody, and so he said, try it out for yourself. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But it's not, my way or the highway.
We'll have, gentlemen, we got a break. We'll have to conclude this conversation in the last 3 minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Of December. Glenn, we got very limited time here. Quickly summarize your question to Dr. Myers so he can give a good answer for
us. Basically, I just feel it would be really honest and really a matter of good faith to to provide people with an explanation of your worldview, your spiritual view, where you're coming from, instead of starting, kind of incrementally spoiling the frog slowly, making this statement or that statement about the afterlife or about the nature of the soul or spirit. If you would provide a clear explication of these things, then you're not going to run into a problem of people saying that you're kind of baiting and switching them on worldview. They can say, well, what is it you actually believe about these things? That's all. Okay.
Glenn, thank you. And we'll let Dr. Myers give a very cohesive answer. Go ahead, Doctor.
I'm going to sum it up to the 12 steps to self-care. If it feels wrong, don't do it. Exactly what you mean. Don't be a people pleaser. Trust your instincts. Never speak bad about yourself. Never give up your dreams. Do not be afraid to say no. Do not be afraid to say yes. Be kind to yourself. Let go of what you cannot control. Stay away from drama and negativity. And most importantly, love yourself and love your neighbor by letting go of blaming them for how you feel.
That's important, Doctor. Incredibly important. And the survivors of the death camps figured out that they're the ones who were in charge of how they reacted to whatever conditions they were put in, and allowing and giving up that power to other people to control how you feel and how you react is a massive mistake, isn't it, Doctor?
Absolutely. And so if there is a summing up of everything, that's it.
Doctor, it's a great way to wrap up the year, it's always fun having you visit with us on Fridays and getting access to this knowledge, which is new and fresh every week. I want to wish you and your family a Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you. You too, John.
Okay. Well, what a year it's been, and what a year we have ahead of us. So we look forward here at Republic Broadcasting to being with you this coming calendar year 2018 and having a lot of fun informing you, educating you, entertaining you, and having you do the same for us, because our listeners inform us and educate us and entertain us as well. That's the nature of talk radio at its best. Don't forget to make a donation to Republic Broadcasting if you feel moved to do so. It would help us all. And yes, we got the day off Monday, and we'll play this show as a archive Monday. We'll be back with our first live show Tuesday, the 2nd of January. In the meantime, have a wonderful, safe holiday weekend. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. And please do have a fun, safe holiday weekend, and God bless America.